This is ITV News at 10 with Tom Bradby.
Good evening. The Chancellor, George Osborne, is fond of quoting former President Johnson's first rule of politics: learn how to count. That is at least in part because if you get the numbers wrong, you enter a world of political pain, and so does your country. In the autumn, Mr. Osborne talked of how the numbers were all going spectacularly in the right direction, but today he struck a very different tone. It was not mission accomplished, he said, but mission critical. One of those slightly irritating phrases politicians repeat endlessly. But the key question, what was he on about? It's been a bad few days on the markets, it's true, and there are serious concerns about the Chinese economy. But why the sudden change of tune, and how worried should we be?
In Cardiff today, the Chancellor brought with him a dramatic change in tone from those sunny predictions in his autumn statement at the end of last year. He came here to cite the growth in concern about the global economy, China, Brazil, oil price falls, Middle East tension. And he did it on a day when those concerns caused stock markets to tumble in Asia, Europe and the US.
For I worry about a creeping complacency in the national debate about our economy, a sense that the hard work at home is complete, that we're immune from the risks abroad.
If you are so worried about what you now call 2016 becoming the beginning of the decline, why did you sound such an optimistic note in your autumn statement?
Well, it's true that Britain has grown faster than any other major advanced economy over the last couple of years, but it's not enough to have a plan, you have to deliver it. And that's what 2016 is all about, delivering that plan in the face of this dangerous cocktail of risks from abroad.
A short drive down the M4 in Newport, 600 staff make and export office furniture. In fact, 17 lorries destined for Europe were being loaded up this afternoon. But their exports are starting to be hit by what's happening many miles from here. George Osborne spoke today of these global economic risks, and they are starting to see that here. Exports to Europe, for example, have stagnated. To the Middle East, exports have actually started to go down. But what they're not seeing in a business like this one is any proactive support from government for manufacturing exporters.
50% of our products are exported. So, if there's risk to our export market, there's risk to UK jobs.
And you're not getting that support from the government?
No, there seems to be a lot of sort of noise and froth about supporting high-tech start-up businesses. There doesn't seem to be much assistance for traditional and established manufacturers such as ourselves.
It was effectively a New Year pledge from the Chancellor to keep a tight wrap on spending, but Labour says the global risks demand an alternative path.
For some time we've been warning George Osborne about the problems that will hit us as a result of changes in the global economy. And this is not the time that you should be cutting, particularly investment in our economy.
So the Chancellor either got his New Year excuses in early or admitted he really can't shield the UK from the global slowdown. Chris Ship, News at 10, Cardiff.
Mr. Osborne's message then, as you heard, is that there are outside forces affecting the British economy that he can't control. To use his words, how dangerous are they?
The Chancellor's dangerous cocktail of new threats sets our small islands in a turbulent sea of dangers, which could wash over the UK from abroad. Market instability spreading from Asia, a glut of commodities sending prices plummeting, and rising tensions in the Middle East could all have unpredictable effects on our own economy.
So how serious are these threats? Well, the Chancellor's timing is perfect, as worries about China's economy sent shares there plummeting 7% earlier today, triggering an emergency halt to trading for the second time this week and spreading concern around the world. Our own FTSE 100 index fell 2%. But is China really a worry? Less than 5% of British exports go there. Much more important are Europe and the US, both of which are recovering. Here's a verdict on China from one of the UK's top fund managers.
Why people are getting excited about something that's been so obvious for the last few years is sort of slightly beyond me, but maybe it's because I'm so old. But I think it is very much a slowdown. I think it's the reconstructions they're doing in the economy are good for the long term.
So China's perhaps not such a drag after all. The Chancellor also pointed to volatility in commodities like oil. Brent crude is fetching only $33 a barrel today, earlier touching the lowest it's been since 2004. Low oil prices are the main reason we've had virtually no inflation for the past year, even the threat of deflation. Well, cheap oil is a boon for consumers, for drivers, but it hurts producers, threatening the stability of those countries which rely on oil to fund their economies. And that leads neatly on to the Chancellor's next theme of tensions in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia's falling out with Iran could send the oil price rocketing or trigger other unpredictable fallout. But not yet. In fact, one of the main drags in our economy right now, that's due to get worse, is homegrown austerity.
I think it's already affected growth, and I think it will continue to affect growth in the years to come. I think that over the coming year, I think with the rest of the world starting to slow, we may feel that austerity is having more of an impact on our ability to weather those storms.
Perhaps the Chancellor was setting out to protect the country as much as to protect his own reputation today.
Well, Richard is here with us now. Richard, politicians rarely say anything by accident. It must have taken them weeks to come up with, mission critical, I'm sure. What do you think he was up to today?
I certainly think it's unusual for this Chancellor to talk down the UK, as Chris was saying at the top of the programme. Until very recently, he was boasting that our economy was growing the fastest of any major economy in the world. I think he's trying to highlight the risks of the UK, though, as cover for the austerity still to come. If we all felt that things were rosy, then very soon people would start to question, why is it that we still need to have cuts to day centres, to libraries, to social care, to benefits and so on? If you want more details on this, I blogged on it earlier today. But make no mistake, there are going to be cuts to come. The Chancellor's message today was, I think, a reminder of why he feels he can't let up on austerity. He's got to put the country's house in order, and if that means ever more unpopular austerity, so be it.
We should point out that blog's probably will definitely be still on our website, but it's been a bit of a bumpy start to the markets this year. Again, you blogged about that earlier in the week. How worried do you think, obviously what happens in China has an impact on us, as Chris was saying. How worried do you think we should be?
I think Mr. Osborne's not wrong on any of the litany that we've explored this evening. If you were so inclined, you could find something genuinely to be worried about in China, in the Middle East, in Russia, plenty of other things that we haven't mentioned either. The unravelling of QE, for example, is giving some of the traders that I talk to sleepless nights, as well as the lack of liquidity in some markets. But I think if something really is barrelling towards us, it's going to knock our economy for six, it's probably not something that the Chancellor has forecast, or that I could, or anyone else. These are the black swan events, the tail risk, the things that you don't see coming. So by striking a pessimistic note today, and perhaps in many more speeches to come, the Chancellor may feel that he's covered.